Hi, so this video is going to be about my first impressions of the Philippines. And yeah, so one thing I noticed right when I first arrived, was going through customs, and that they were very friendly. They after they did their check through, or whatever you want to call it, when you're going through customs, they smiled. They said, "Have a good visit." They were very friendly. So that was the first thing I noticed, because in the U.S., typically you don't get that same feeling as you're coming through customs, or most lines for that matter. So that was the very first impression I had. I thought, wow, these people are really friendly. And yeah, so then when I went to state of Manila, the customer service everywhere I went, it was really good. The workers at the hotels were really the hospitality was exceptional, and everybody seemed to be pretty happy, and so then as I continued to travel, I went through some areas that were pretty. There's a high poverty rate, and some of the people were really poor. But I noticed that they were really happy, even though they didn't have much. They still seemed to be extremely happy. So that was those were my first impressions. And then later, I went to Cebu and was there for a while, and I noticed the same thing. The people are just really friendly. Um, English is widely spoken, uh, especially with the younger people. They tend to speak really good English. Some of the older people don't speak English that well, and I think maybe it's because they've been in the country area or the provinces. Maybe I'm not sure, but anyway, English is widely spoken. Another thing I noticed right off was the prices. Everything was a lot more reasonable than at least than in the U.S. And there's just no comparison between the two as far as prices go. Uh, everything from food, uh, just everything. So yeah, that's another thing that I noticed. And something else I noticed right away was that as I try to always go to the street markets. Even in California, I tend to shop there for most of my stuff. But the vegetables and fruits all appeared to, for the most part, to be homegrown and pesticide free, I believe. And then also the meats. When you buy the meat there, for instance, if you go to buy a pork at a local pork shop, a lot of times, most of the time, that pork is like fresh. It's from that day or the day before. I mean, it's really fresh. And and in the U.S., usually, you have different preservatives in the meat, and uh, oh gosh, when the cows or the pigs, or whatever that you're eating, most of the time those animals have had hormones or antibiotics, different things, whether it be in the feed or directly applied to the animal. A lot of times, I mean, you can buy organic, but it's usually so expensive. A lot of a lot of people can't afford that. So that was the other thing I noticed. The chickens, for instance, if you go into Costco in the US, and normally their chickens are really huge, you know, and I thought, so as I'm looking at the chickens, for instance, in the Philippines, they're about half the size. They're so much smaller. But then I realized that, okay, they're not being fed these hormones and different things in their food. Everything's pretty natural. The chickens are actually usually walking around and living a normal lifestyle, whereas the chickens in the U.S. are, raised in very tight quarters, unless they're game. I guess you'd call them game free. But anyway, so that's another thing I noticed right away. Difference between the two, which made me feel good. I like to eat healthy, and I believe that's the main cause of a lot of health problems within the U.S. And probably other countries also, is the fact that the foods that we eat are processed. I'm going to say 80 to 90% of them probably. So that's one main really big difference between the U.S. or the Western world, comparing it to the Asia or the Philippines or Thailand. Yeah. So, but the main difference that I notice is the people. The people in the Philippines and in Thailand, people in general are really nice and very helpful. So if you need something, they will go out of their way to help you. And the generosity that that I saw was like nothing I've ever seen before. People that I didn't really even hardly know, would be offering food, that kind of thing. And so I was extremely impressed with that. And people in general are really, really happy. So that's another thing I noticed there. So these were my first impressions. And I just want to say, hey, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Right now I'm back in California, and hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative a little bit. And thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. Bye-bye.